Hey everyone, Gary here with Nerd Dad. So last time we were talking about 3D printers or new hobbies, depending on what you're getting into. And I've done a little bit of research and I've kind of got some other things to touch base with you on. So let's get started on that. First of all, I do want to touch on another note, a little side note. I'm not sure if any of y'all are aware of this. NASA has the Perseverance rover on Mars, and that rover has a drone attached to it. And that drone is carrying a piece of cloth from the 1903 Wright Flyer, Flyer 1 from the Wright brothers. How incredible is that? That those two guys made an airplane, the first powered flight airplane, flew it on Earth, and now it's going to have a piece flying on Mars. That's incredible. That's incredible. Incredible. So, back to the printers. The research I've done, I found that there are a handful of types of printers, different types of printers. The main two types are FDM, fusion deposition modeling, or extrusion printing, which is basically just like an ink printer, where an ink printer sets down one dot every time it goes down the page. The 3D printer does that same thing, but it goes back and sets another dot right on top of that. So it just keeps stacking up all of these dots of extruded plastic or polymer and makes a 3D model out of it. The other form of printing is resin printing or stereolithography. Now, stereolithography has been around for a long time. Back in the early 90s, 91, 92, I worked for Raytheon, which is a big airplane, military airplane company, and they're a contract company for military aircraft. I worked for them for about 3 or 4 years, and we had a stereolithography machine in one of our buildings, and it was massive. It fit in an entire room by itself. We had one guy designated he would always send the models to it, and we would model components that would go in the planes so that we would know that they fit before we sent them off and had them made into steel or whatever manufacturing process we had made on them. But it took forever to print with those. You would have a model maybe like this, maybe 6-8 inches, you know, just like the inside of a cabin or something like that to show demonstration. And it would take like 24 hours, 36 hours to print. The other thing is it was very thin. It was really weak. You couldn't really play with it or nothing like that. It wasn't as rigid as it is today. But that technology has come around a lot. So after doing my research and looking at all the pros and cons of both FDMs and the resin-based printers, I've decided to go with FDM printing. I think it's just the cheapest, it's the easiest way to print, and you get a variety of colors out of it. So stereolithography or resin printing, you have a vat, like a tank, in the middle of your printer, full of liquid, and it's bonded when UV lights touch together at a certain point. So wherever they touch together, it prints. So your resin table, your actual table, heat table, it prints, it prints, and prints, and prints. So it's actually printing upside down. It's not a big deal. It's no big deal. An FDM printer, the bed is like this, and the print head comes down and prints on it, and it just goes down like that. So you can see the model building up as you're going through. And you don't have to rinse it off. And I think there's a UV drying time on resin, stuff like that. So I'd rather just stick with the FDM, doing FDM printing, and you can get different filaments, different color filaments, so you can print different colored objects and things like that. And you can get different color resins, the same thing, but you have to change that whole tank out to clean it out. I'm really not for sure the intels of that. I've kind of just stuck with the FDM side of things. So I know that I want to print small parts, small pieces. I might get into some helmets or something like that later on down the road, but I really haven't decided yet. Most of it is going to be within the confines of the printing, you know, of an FDM printer, a standard tabletop FDM printer. There's 3 printers that I have come across, 3 that I've come across that I think would be great printers. Of course, Creality's Ender 3, they make the Ender 3 Pro, they make the Ender 3 V2. Any of those Creality printers are good printers. You're going to be spending you're in the $300 range. They're good, but you're going to have to spend a bit more money for them. There's the VoxLab Aquila 3D printer, which I found online. A couple of guys on YouTube have done reviews on them. It is, it's a really good looking printer. It has the same kind of layout and design as the Creality Ender 3s. It's like 180 bucks. It's a under $200 printer, and from what I've seen, the reviews of it, it's great. It's just an outstanding printer. The third printer that I was looking at was the Elegoo Neptune 2. That printer, I've seen reviews on it. I've seen people that have them. I've seen ads on Amazon for them. I can't find it anywhere. Totally unavailable. It's like it vanished from the face of the earth. It's like Elegoo made a really cool printer, and then someone said, no, that printer doesn't work anymore. Boom, can't have it. And I mean, you can't even find it on eBay. You can't find it on Amazon. It says unavailable. And you go to their website and there's no mention of it on the Elegoo website, which is kind of creepy. It makes me want one more. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other under $200, under $300 printer. So that's kind of my price range. I'm looking at 300 and below. If I really want to max out my budget, I can go with the Ender 3, get the Ender 3 and do what I do there. But if I want to get the printer and then still have a little bit of money to add some extra stuff, buy some extra filaments, things like that, I might stick with the VoxLab Aquila 3D. I don't see any issues with it. I think it's a good looking printer, and I think it'll do the job. The most important thing, and there's two things that I always look for when I go and buy something from a company. Two things. Very important things. The number one thing, and most people are like, oh, with 3D printers, you want to do an automatic bed leveling, or is it got a touch screen? I don't care about that. I don't care about a touch screen. I don't care about automatic bed leveling. If you get a great print off of an item, you can set it off to the side. No one's going to come up and go, ooh, I bet that had a touch screen. No one's going to say that. What I look for first is customer service. Customer service and community groups. Does this company have really good customer service? If I sent them an email right now and just had a curiosity question about their printer, how fast would they get back to me? That, to me, is one of the most important things in buying anything I get into. Any component I buy, I want to be able to call them up, find out what's wrong with it, get my solution, get a fix, and get it done. I want to get back to work quick. If I've got to wait a week, 2 weeks for them to reply, and then when they reply, it's really vague, not a fan. Not a fan. So always look for a good customer service group and a good community group. Are there a lot of people out there that have bought these? Can you go to forums where people have bought a bunch of these printers and say, hey, I've got this problem. Does anybody have the same? If you can get that kind of service, get that kind of rapport with other people, it works out great when you're trying to fix things. The second thing that I always look for is how long has this company been in the game? If they just started a year ago, you might want to wait around a little bit before going that route. All three of the companies that I'm looking at right now, both Creality, Elegoo, and VoxLab, they've been in the business about 10 years, which gives them ample time to make fixes and solve problems with any of their printers. So again, always look for customer service and how long have they been in the business. That's my opinion of what to look for when you're buying from a company. So if anybody's got any other components or any other ideas, there's things that they, printers that they've messed with, dealt with, if I'm looking at the resin printers the wrong way and you think that I'm better, put it in the comments. Let me know some of the printers that you have in mind. Maybe you bought a printer 5 or 10 years ago and that printer is the greatest thing in the world. Let me know what it is. I'll go from there and I'll kind of research it myself. So like the video, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon next to it so you can get updates on all my new videos, and let's get into 3D printing. Thanks.